Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Solo ReacTalk. This afternoon, I'm going to be reacting to a video requested by Noble Knight House Heretics. It's called A History of the Chaos Knight Houses, Warhammer 40,000, and Horus Heresy lore on the Oculus Imperia YouTube channel. If you guys want to check out my previous reaction to other Oculus Imperia Warhammer 40K content, remember that the reaction playlist card is going to be at the top right here for my Warhammer 40K content reaction playlist. You'll be able to find more Oculus Imperia, in particular, Warhammer 40K content reaction videos in that playlist. Yes. If you want to check out the original video or Oculus Imperia's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. Yes, before I start, Noble Knight House Heretics, your second request, a small 2-minute GameStop trailer called Knights March to War. I could not find it on YouTube. I'm sorry, I have tried, but I can't find it. If you can give me the link to that specific video, I will gladly appreciate the help there. Yes, I'm sorry about this. I could only find Oculus Imperia's video. It's quite easy. But the second request, I could not find it. I'm sorry. So if you can just send me the link for it, and then I can attend to it as soon as possible. Yes. All right. Let's start with a history of the Chaos Knight houses. 3, 2, 1, go.
In times of war, honor can be a code to bind combatants within a discipline that transcends the barked orders of commissars and sergeants. Having an army that fights on principles, for a cause higher than their own beyond base zealotry, comes with many advantages.
Yeah, it does, but it can also be corrupted by chaos. And sometimes zealotry is very important when it comes to that point, when such strong convictions can be manipulated under the control of chaos. So you need some people who just have blind faith, people who are just utterly devoid of any other reasoning or logic, just complete devotion to one singular being, and that is all. You need people like that. Those people who are so extremely zealous they cannot be reasoned with. And those are the ones that you cannot, manipulate with chaos. That's what I think. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong by that, but those who are just completely eclipsed by zealotry, in their mindset, they can never be corrupted. Yeah.
It can, additionally, provide internal structure to the lives and relationships of the warriors themselves, a code of social enforcement to maintain balance and enforce justice. But honor is fragile. It is a thing that is deceptively easy to lose.
As Pilgrim said to Primarch, which Primarch was it? Oh my gosh, I forgot which Primarch was it. Oh my gosh, I forgot. Pilgrim said something about honor, that honor will get you killed. But I just can't remember which Primarch was he talking to. I can't remember. I think it was Robuta Gilliman. Yes, I think it was Robuta Gilliman. When, Pilgrim told him that, yes, honor will get you killed. Yes, it's a noble ideal. It gives you a sense of duty and respect, and, you have a service to accomplish, but it will get you killed one way or another.
A compromise here, a concession there, and the code erodes, sand grasped by a desperate hand. The path to damnation is paved with intentions good or ill, But the fall of the once honorable into perfidy and ruin carries a piquant tragedy all of its own. They have further to fall, more to lose. The devastation of their once honorable souls is all the greater a calamity for it. The subjects of this record epitomize this descent. Within their twisted souls is contained warped potential and squandered purity. Know then that this is a record of houses infernal and iconoclastic.
Houses infernal. Houses infernal and what?
Know then that this is a record of houses infernal and iconoclastic.
Clastic. Okay.
The nobility most damned. A record of Chaos Knight houses. A knight, in the most basic terms, is a massive bipedal armored suit, over 12 meters in height. Blessed with a human form, powered by a thundering plasma reactor and sealed against all but the most hazardous of environments, a knight suit is a tool of war, oft more deadly than a main battle tank, able to cope with a wide array of terrain with frightening agility, and capable of mounting weaponry devastatingly mundane or arcane.
I wonder, between a knight and a titan, well, the smallest titans, what are they called? The reapers, I think. Which is more effective, in their class of, mechanicus, or can I say mechanicus? Well, giant robots. In their class of giant robots, which is more effective between a reaper titan and a knight? Which is faster? Which has more weapons? Which has more durability? Yeah, I'm just wondering about that.
Their technology, though advanced, is superbly adaptable. Aside from 2 arm mounts capable of being outfitted with an array of super heavy weapons, their carapace armor likewise contains hardpoints for supplementary armaments and support mechanics, all of which are shielded from incoming fire by the suit's potent ion shield. Within their armored torsos are contained a wealth of auspex and sensorium suites, with finely calibrated targeting matrices offering precision battlefield assessment capabilities. At least,
I wonder, does the pilot control everything in the knight, or does he or she have, what do they call them, moderatis? The moderatis and the tech priests and the servitors and whatever else personnel that are required for a titan. Is the same situation happening with the knights? Do knights also have, auxiliary supports, inside the body? Or is it just the pilot alone? Yeah. Because I know with titans, you can have a small little community inside there. Controlling and maintaining the machine as it moves forward into battle.
By the standards of human technology. For all the capabilities of a knight, often far surpassing other war machines in lethality and adaptability, they remain piloted by a single individual.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there is no support. It's just the pilot inside. That's crazy. Because what if the knight gets damaged? What if the pilot needs to focus on managing the power flow, along with maintaining the shield, along with targeting enemy forces, and also has to move? Like, all of these multitasking situations, all being controlled and responsible by the pilot. There's no one helping the pilot, like in a Titan. Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders.
This pilot, the titles of which vary by household and lineage, is bonded within the suit through a device of potent techno-arcana known as the Throne Mechanicum. Similar
Throne Mechanicum. I think also the, what do they call them again? The precepts of a Titan also have something similar. Maybe it's not as intrusive, mentally intrusive, like a knight, if I'm not mistaken. I think with the precepts, yes, they have to dominate the Titan, and they have to work together with the Titan. But I think with a knight, it's much more complicated because there's other personalities inside the throne mechanicum, and whoever sits on the throne will have to negotiate or mentally negotiate with the past pilots of the knight, right? So it is quite similar, but also not similar. And I think with the knight, you actually die. If they don't accept you in the knight, you die. On the throne mechanicum, if they don't accept you, you die. With the Titan, I'm not entirely sure if the precepts or the would-be precept, would be killed in the process of trying to merge their consciousness or their mind with the Titan. I'm not entirely sure if the pilot dies in that test. But with a knight, it's assured. It's assured. If you're not what they like, if they're not what they like, if you are not worthy, you are meat on that chair.
To mind impulse units found within other Imperial war machines, notably the battle titans of the Titan Legios, the throne allows for the mind of the pilot to interface with the machine. Human and suit become one, with the suit's limbs following the nerve pulses of the human brain, thus providing a far more deft and subtle level of control than the pilot of more mundane machines could ever hope to achieve.
I see. Okay.
The price to be paid for such purity of connection manifests in psychostigmatic feedback earned by the pilot during combat. As a knight takes damage, so too does the human within.
And not only that, like I said before, there's other personalities, other previous pilots, consciousness that exists in the Throne Mechanicus. So not only are you fighting on the battlefield, but you're also fighting in your mind with the previous pilots. They might tell you, hey, no, wait, stop right here, don't move forward, shoot that target first, and then you can attack, or then you can move forward. And then there'll be another personality telling you, no, turn around, go behind that rock, and then jump over, and then attack. It'll be very complicated. Very, very complicated. You are trying to fight and focus on the battlefield, but you have these people behind you, thinking that they know better. Well, some of them actually do, because, they have that experience. But, you're contending with a lot of things at the same time. Yeah.
Wounds opening up upon their flesh as their machine's hull is rent. This union is permitted via a ritual known by many names, surmised here as the Becoming. Worthy aspirants, those who have proven their fortitude, both physical and mental, through trial and tribulation, are placed within the Throne Mechanicum to bond with the machine, and commune with the device and that which dwells within. Imprints of pilots past, neural patterns retained by the dizzyingly complex technology of the throne itself, reside within the suit's systems, appearing to human perception and imagination as spectral apparitions, bringing judgment to the new prospective pilot.
And you can imagine how many of them are there inside the machine spirit of the knight. How many of these past pilots dwell within it? Must be overwhelming.
Flowing into the aspirant's mind via the hardwired MIU links, the psychanic remnants pry open the deepest reaches of the aspirant's mind, assessing their worthiness, scrying their most intimate memories, desires, and fears. Acolytes found wanting are consumed utterly. dropping from the throne as brain-dead husks or simply corpses. To those the ancestral spectres deem worthy, the glory of being a night pilot now beckons. Human and machine become indelibly linked on levels profound, transcending the mundanely technological, a union forged within the plane of the mind and expressed through blessed mechanics.
What I want to know about is, when the knight has been defeated on the battlefield, how is it that they're able to recover this machine and rebuild it and make it active for battle once more? Because that knowledge has been lost. So how are they able to recover all of that knowledge? I mean, if the Titan, if the knight has been defeated on battle and it has suffered catastrophic failure, on the body, maybe body parts blew off, or a chainsaw went right through the chest of the knight and destroyed the critical components. How is it that they were able to recover it, rebuild it, and still have the same spirits of past pilots still inside the machine? I still don't understand that part, because we've always been told that knowledge of the past, of how these things were built, has been lost. And the only way you're going to defeat a Titan, a knight pilot, is by destroying the machine, right? So if the machine has been destroyed, how were they able to repair it? How were they able to, collect all of the consciousness of past pilots and, have it being used once more on the battlefield by a new aspirant? And I'm just trying to figure that out. Sorry guys if I'm confusing you. I'm just, curious about this. Like, how do they recover the knight and reuse it once it has been defeated on the battlefield? And if the knight pilot did not die in the knight suit or the knight machine, and the pilot just died outside somewhere, like he was assassinated, or he died due to an explosion of some sort, is the consciousness still going to be transferred into the knight, or is the pilot's consciousness already copied and pasted into the knight? I'm just wondering about that as well, because if the knight has died outside of his if the knight pilot has died outside of his knight, does that mean that his consciousness or her consciousness is no longer going to be within the machine? Yeah, just wondering about that as well. Sorry. I kind of confused myself there with knight and then the pilot of the knight. Yeah, the knight machine. Yeah, sorry.
While one has elaborated fulsomely upon the history of the knightly households in a previous record, it must be restated for this one that the legacy of knight suits within human antiquity is long indeed. The devices see their origin within the ancient dark age of technology, in the stellar exodus that is known amongst loyalist households as the Long March. Human colony worlds, settled by those early expansive efforts, often face significant challenges, even in worlds that were nominally habitable. Climatic exigencies, hostile environments, predatory megafauna, all could pose a substantial threat to a fledgling colony. The miracle standard template construct machines that the humanity of that era possessed, however, provided the edge the settlers required. One of the earliest patterns developed by the STC system was the knight suit. Perfectly usable as an all-purpose industrial machine operating in a range of terrain and climates, the knight suit could also be mounted with a wide assortment of weaponry.
I like this image of this knight. It kind of looks like a knight that would be stationed on Terra. The gold, the white. Yeah, it looks nice.
defend the colony against alien beasts or hostile Xenos civilizations. They proved phenomenally successful. Many border worlds of the human volume adopted them as a primary mode of defense, placing their entire security on the backs of these knight pilots. The Age of Strife brought untold ruin to this era of advancement and expansion, plunging the galaxy into conflict and despair unparalleled. Worlds now looked to their knights as their only protectors. They were bereft of the most advanced technologies that had once been available. Humanity quickly resorted to overuse of its more robust machineries and systems. Decades turned into centuries, centuries to millennia. And as they did, a curious quirk emerged in the bonding of pilot to knight suit. The longer a suit was active, passing through generations of pilots, longer-living pilots began to exhibit changes in character. A sense of duty would develop, followed by increasing commitments to codes of honor and chivalry.
Okay. So, would you say that this is the influence of the knight suit on the pilot? Far more intrusive than before. Okay.
Knight pilots began to see themselves as akin to the armored horseback warriors of old, defenders of the weak against the strong, and rightful rulers of their underlings.
Rightful rulers. Okay. So what about those that rule the settlements, before the pilot took over the knight? Like, what would the knight say to the governor or the mayor or the leader of the community? Will he just, demand the surrender of this leader and tell him that I am your overlord and I am here to protect you, no matter the cost, and if you stand in my way as being the leader of the people of this settlement, I'm going to take my knight and kill you? I'm just wondering, how does this work? How does it work that the knight pilot now automatically becomes the leader of society instead of just being strictly the soldier or the defender of the community? But I guess when you have a knight, you just have to say, those who would go against the knight pilot will have to just say, yes, you are our lord. We surrender to you. Look at this thing. It's huge. It's powerful. Yeah.
Night worlds, as these planets became known, developed into feudal societies, ruled by the households of pilots, who in turn became more authoritarian, conservative, hidebound to the traditions that were being imparted upon them by their suits. The bonding to the throne mechanicum is a lifelong commitment. While a pilot is alive, no other neural pattern is accepted by the throne mechanicum itself. The device may be transferred between suits, of course. A pilot may rise through the proverbial ranks, helming many knights before their death, but it is notable that this is only done when duty calls, or when the thirst for prestige beckons.
It's interesting. I don't know if the precepts of a titan are influenced in such a way like the knights and the pilots of the knights. I don't think so. I don't think the precepts, are imprinted with this sense of honor and duty, and they have this sense of entitlement that they will become the leaders of the Mechanicus of Mars. I don't think so. I don't think they have that type of ambition, or they have that type of mentality of always needing to protect humanity, no matter the cost, under their leadership. I don't think they have that urge like knight pilots. Yeah. I know that the precepts have to wrestle for control over the titan, during battle. But I don't think the Titan itself can exert its will upon the pilot like the way a knight does it on their pilot. Yeah, that's interesting.
The lineage of Night Worlds and their attendant households are myriad, as are the expressions of their traditions. All share, in some form, a commitment to genetic lineage, attempting, albeit archaically, to maintain the purity of a familial line that has been deemed most compatible with their suits.
So it's kind of hereditary? Interesting.
Traditions of a vast spectrum uphold this. Martial, social, and religious things, all influenced by millennia of rulership and constant warfare. As one's acolytes may likely have guessed, the armor suits themselves are often ancient indeed. STC systems did not survive the Age of Strife intact. Most knight households are lucky if they possess devices capable of producing the more advanced parts of their suits, let alone full knights.
It's interesting that the STCs, did not survive through the Age of Strife, yet the knights did. It's just very interesting that the knights survived and are still being used even today, in the 41st millennium, or yes, 41st millennium. But the STCs, the very things that designed and probably also constructed these knights, did not survive. It's very strange. Really, it's very strange how that has come about.
Over centuries, all households developed a serf caste of technologists to make maintain their suits, collectively known as sacristans.
Sacristans. Okay.
Much has been remarked of the hand of Mars's dogma in the traditions of the sacristans. While the faith of the machine cult emerged distinct from Night Worlds, there is a notable parity between the near-religious worship of night suit machineries that the sacristans exhibit and the faith of the priests of the Red Planet. Naturally, this formed a perfect point of cultural connection when, during the Great Crusade, Imperial and Mechanicum fleets alike began to make renewed contact with Night Worlds. Often very eager to rejoin the burgeoning Imperium for the access to supplies and glory that the Great Crusade promised, something of a competition ended up occurring between the twin empires of Terra and Mars. Both sought the fealty of the Night Worlds for the unquestionable martial might they offered.
Oh, that's quite surprising. I would think that the Knights would fall under the Mechanicus, because they're using, giant machines on the battlefield, just like the Caligula Titanica, the Titans of Mars. So I would have assumed that they would be under their banner as well, because they have the technology, they have the technical know-how, they have the resources to maintain the knights. And, the knight houses are bereft with such, resources and information and skills. So I would think that maybe they would be under the cloak of the Mechanicus of Mars and not siding with the Imperium. Interesting.
A feudal web of sister kingdoms expanded, subsuming knightly households by the hundreds, with each pledging to emperor or fabricator general according to, often, who got there first.
First come, first serve.
It is within the nightmares of the Horus Heresy that the birth of the first damned knight households took place.
Death to the false emperor!
Rot may have set in further ahead of the eventual civil war. Night worlds are feudal regimes to their core, and bonded knight households in the thrall of Mars's lost colonies often possessed atavistic and primeval traditions, venerating spiritualities or practices that the imperial truth no doubt sought to stamp out, but could
But I'm sure they compromised. Just like with the Mechanicus, they compromised.
never fully eradicate. It is a metaphysical fact that such primordial religions are often conduits to the worship of the dark gods of chaos. However, unknowingly, the subjects find themselves pledged to primitive deities, ones that squat within the depths of the warp. One need only look at the evidence, fulsomely provided, in many cases, of the eagerness with which certain households embraced the adoration of Horus's new patron deities. A great many more, however, were torn onto paths of damnation by the oaths of fealty they had sworn to traitor Primarchs and their Astartes legions, or to turncoat Titan legios, or renegade Forge Worlds. Whatever the cause, all became compelled by their own immutable word to make war upon the Imperium and the Emperor whose cause they had served. That this even occurred is a testament to the nigh unstoppable power of chaos to corrupt. The Throne Mechanicum's conditioning and psycho-spiritual bonds, one that all Knight pilots share, should, technically, be a ward against such exploitation.
Technically.
Ancient humans clearly did not wish for the power of knight suits to be wielded by those influenced by the more base aspects of human nature. It has been theorized that the imprinting of concepts of loyalty, fealty, and defense of the weak were bulwarks against the treachery of those early pilots, essentially a form of techno-social control, forcing them to defend the weak instead of using suits for personal gain. These systems that should have warded those heresy-era pilots against the pestiferous depredations of chaos proved instead to be their very downfall.
But I mean, even before that, we were just told that the knights were also imprinted with the sense of entitlement, that they should be the ones to lead. They should be the ones who will control their communities or their society or civilization because they are pilots of the knights. And in order for them to have that sort of power, they have to crush their enemies. They have to crush human beings that would go up against them. So they were already having blood sated on their blades. You know, their machines have already experienced domination and control and intimidation of the human populace. So those that turned to chaos, you know, you could say it was very easy. And somehow they would justify their reasons on why they're joining chaos, whether because they've sworn a loyalty to a Primarch that is a traitor, or a Mechanicus that has turned into the Mechanicum, the Dark Mechanicum. You know, they've sworn loyalty to them. You know, they'll have various of reasons why they have betrayed the Emperor. But essentially, you know, controlling the populace, controlling you know, how things are run, it is already embedded into them. They see that as their responsibility. And anyone that tries to take away that responsibility from them, they would crush them on the spot. So I think it would be very easy for those who are piloting the knights and who wish to betray because of certain reasons. It will be very easy for them just to switch. They would just make another reasoning that, you know, this is all in the purpose or the pursuit to protect, you know, my night house, or for the glory of my night house at any cost.
Torn from their duty to Emperor by immediate loyalty to either Primarch or Forge or Legio, These first fallen pilots turned their backs upon their greater oaths with full knowledge of their betrayals. It caused their psyches to wage war against themselves, all while the geists of their ancestors, contained within the neural bond to the throne mechanicum, scorned them for their dishonor. The forebearer phantoms howled their anguish night and day, tortured by the actions of their selfish descendants, and torturing these self-same descendants in kind.
I'm surprised that, the past pilots inside the Knights don't try to kill the pilot who's betraying, his oath for betraying the Imperium of Man. I'm surprised that during the test of the future aspirant, they can kill that future aspirant right on the spot. But when this pilot betrays, all of a sudden they can't kill him, or they can't kill her. For some reason, they can't kill this person. But before, they could kill them easily by melting their brains because they deemed them unworthy. However, now, when the pilot has betrayed the Imperium of Man, they are no longer deemed not worthy. You can't kill him.
There was naught to stymie them. The bond between throne and pilot occurs within the depths of the mind. The throne geists, millennia old in many cases, were neural patterns unable to change. Lacking any ability to process the betrayals their sacred suits were now being told to act upon. Vows impossibly old were sundered, and traitor pilots were forced to bear the weight of centuries of ancestors, fighting them at every turn, assaulted at every instant by feelings of disgrace, hatred, dishonor, and humiliation. Many simply went insane, dragged into the depths of perdition by forces and circumstances far greater than their own, compelled to follow orders they knew were shameful and degrading. The minds of many a pilot broke under the relentless, hellish dissonance, only to be rebuilt as twisted things of violence and hatred. Others, in an effort to relieve themselves of their torment, created webs of Byzantine rationalizations for their actions, forever murmuring reassurances to themselves as their forebearers heaped their detestation upon them. Others, seeing loopholes in their codes, committed themselves all the more ferociously to their traitorous assignments, jumping at any opportunity to follow the orders of Horus's legions. They who had once been paragons of virtue desecrated cities and enslaved populations of entire planets. Icons of the once beloved emperor were toppled, and in their place profane monuments were erected to glorify the cruelties of the dark gods. Worship.
There must have been some flayed skin on those, statues and body parts and blood sprayed and just gore, all in the pursuit of pleasing the dark gods. Yeah, nasty business.
Of Horus's patrons became eagerly embraced by pilots driven mad by the howling of their ancestors. Such efforts to quell their inherent self-loathing through unthinking adherence to the traitor cause only worsened matters. Knights were compelled towards greater extremes of brutality and further depths of depravity, and with their every debased actions the screams of their throne mechanicum only grew louder. Many slew kindred or serfs in bloodthirsty outbursts to cover their shame, or laid waste to civilian populations to slake the bloodthirst that now dwelt within them. Their tragedies and their perfidies are myriad. As the Age of Darkness consumed the galaxy, these night houses became unrecognizable as the courageous soldiers of human prosperity they once had been. Some chose to follow the route of blood, becoming incarnations of chaotic carnage seeking to drown their relentless suffering in the viscera of loyal imperial subjects. Others found their motivations and allegiances in constant tempests of instability, their souls grasping at anything that may give them a modicum of justification as the violence of the heresy consumed the human volume. Yet others sank into fetid indolence, a sort of nihilistic resignation consuming their minds and bloating their mortal forms as the warp captured new worshippers. The irrationality that embittered and devoured each Chaos Knight corroded their notions of gallantry. It transformed their throne-bitten concepts of honor and duty into wholly nightmarish new principles. Fallen nobles found vindication in the most monstrous atrocities they committed, reasoning that they had been bred to be exemplars of virtue. Every action they took must, therefore, be virtuous.
Are you mad? Are you... You're mad. Oh, gosh.
Delusion.
Right.
Over the years of carnage, and the centuries of damnation that would follow the defeat of the traitors at the Siege of Terra, the minds of these first fallen, alongside the malign energies of the warp that seeped into the material plane through their corrupted souls, began to permanently twist the fabric of the Throne Mechanicum systems.
Well, yeah, the pilots that die, their consciousness is also transferred into the Throne Mechanicum, and thus the Throne Mechanicum itself has been tainted, it's corrupt, meaning anyone who sits in that chair is going to become part of chaos. So, even if the Imperium of Man recover this knight that was previously piloted by a traitor knight pilot, they can't use it. I think they'll have to break it down, destroy it completely, or take out key components like the reactor, like the weapons, like the shield generator, but everything else of the machine must be melted down. I don't know. I don't think they can build another knight, but honestly, there's just no other way of recovering this piece of technology. It's been corrupted. Yeah.
Those heresy-era nobility that died within their suits had their neural patterns captured by the systems of the throne like any other. And from within the depths of the machinery, they now worked to subvert the spectral echoes of their once loyal kin. These corrupted thrones would never again serve as a means to instill honor and nobility within their new pilots. Instead, they would infect and contaminate, flooding aspirants with all the psychosis, sadism, and depravity the Dark Gods demand of their thralls.
That's why I'm saying that, it's tainted. You can't use it anymore if you're part of the Imperium of Man. That's why I'm saying maybe you just have to take out the key components and everything else just has to be melted down. And that's it. I mean, if there is an STC somewhere that can give us the knowledge on how to build these machines, then, we would have resolved that situation. But because there's no STC currently that will give us this type of knowledge, we'll just have to salvage what we can from a defeated Chaos Knight. Yeah. And use it for something else. Maybe battle tanks, given with the shield generator or the reactor core or the weapon systems. But the Knight body itself, it will have to go. Yeah. Unless, of course, they can take out the Throne Mechanicum. But I don't know how it is, intricately connected to the rest of the machine. Is it so tied with the machine that if you take out the Throne Mechanicum, you literally destroy the machine in totality? Or is it like a component that you can just take out and replace with a new Throne Mechanicum? I'm not sure about that. But that might be an option. If you cannot have anyone sit on the throne mechanicum because it's tainted, remove it and put in a new throne mechanicum. Yeah. Or something similar to the Titans. Transplant whatever machine that they use or system that they use for the Titans into a knight. I'm brainstorming, guys. I don't know. I'm brainstorming. I don't know what will work or how it will work. I'm just making assumptions and guesses here. Yeah.
Thus, in the fires of the heresy, the first iconoclast houses were born. Not all traitor houses fell in this fashion, however. Many, sworn to the fealty of the Mechanicum, were caught in the schism that tore the priests of Mars in twain, becoming now the playthings of the so-called New Mechanicum.
The Dark Mechanicum.
The precise knowledge of the inner workings of the throne were beyond the ken of even the most learned of Martian magi. But this did not stop the Domini of traitor Forge Worlds from subjecting knight suits to all manner of blasphemous rituals and experiments. All attempts to harness the arcane energies of the warp within mundane technology. Thrones Mechanicum were placed within chambers designed to channel and bombard them with immaterial forces, or inject chaotic concoctions through mechadendrite tentacles. Other sects of the fallen Mechanicum bred specifically tailored clone aspirants, seeking to create by artificial means the perfect pilot.
Oh my gosh. Imagine how many of those clones had died just, trying to control the knight. Or to be accepted by the throne mechanicum in the night. Oh my gosh.
Or others raised bloodthirsty warriors from barbarian clans that roamed outside the walls of their forges. The results of these depraved experiments were, of course, universally horrific. Countless efforts ended in abject failure, the bodies of the pilots exploding as flesh mutations ran rampant, or consumed by howling scrap code, their liquefied brain matter leaking out of noses and eyes onto piloting systems. Each failure, however, provided data, and captured records showed that the new Mechanicum reveled in the perverse creativity that such a new frontier of science opened up. Magi in contact with the Word-Bearers Legion, for example, summoned spectrophagic demons to infiltrate the neural pathways of the thrones to devour ancestral spirits within.
Whoa, they can do that? Wow. Okay, was that successful? So it's kind of like a hard restart or a purging of, old data. They're just destroying all previous pilots, just to give the throne mechanicum a clean slate, so that whoever sits on that chair, they won't have any of the past, pilots badgering on them and probably trying to kill them. It's a fresh start. It's a clean start. Nice. Oh, okay.
While only a fraction of pilots survived, and in many cases Thrones Mechanicum were lost forever, those that did endure were reborn as unspeakable fusions of warp and materiel, creating the first of what the Imperium has come to term the Infernal Houses. While the Great Heresy led to the downfall of countless Knight Houses, the years of the Age of Darkness are not the only epoch from whence traitor houses are derived. As with all levels of imperial society, all branches of our military arms, the long millennia since the fall of the Great Crusade have torn once loyal houses from the righteous path of the Emperor into the pits of damnation. Night worlds lying on the fringes of warp storms have been slowly transformed by the outflow of raw warp energy, become suddenly enveloped by a nightmarish tempest, only to later re-emerge dreadfully transformed. Houses in passage to war zones far afield are likewise ensnared, spat out of the immaterium years later, transfigured as horrors of flesh and steel. Others have slowly succumbed to one path or other of the myriad of corruptions that assail any good and just imperial subject. Decades of carnage may lead to some seeing duty as synonymous with bloodletting, providing a crack through which the blood god may usurp their chivalry, blinding even their ancestral gestalt to the corruption now festering within.
Blood for the blood god.
While it is rare for loyal knights to fall to baser instincts, it is not impossible for a noble culture to become ensnared by perverse desires, thirsting for glory, or desire for forbidden knowledge. The Dark Pantheon is vast. The greater intelligences, whose gaze spans all of time and space, are able to catch, in fleeting regard, even for an instant, deeds that are ghastly indeed. Even a single step upon the road of soul ruin risks staining the perpetrator's spirit forevermore. The corruption of pilot and throne, no matter when it occurs, seeps out from the knight's heart like a rot.
The knight's heart? Is that the reactor?
The machine spirits of its various systems are thus likewise corrupted, turned to the chaotic will of the pilot. As with all blessed machinery that feels the warping touch of immaterial energies, the sacred suit of knight armor finds itself transformed and twisted, becoming as blasphemous parodies of their lost nobility. Within the...
Okay, maybe you can't, you can't scavenge the parts from a knight. I mean, if the knight is being radically transformed by chaos, then all the weapon systems and subsystems within the knight and the reactor core, the shield generators, they're probably also corrupted by chaos, and thus you cannot, scavenge them for parts. Yeah, because if you transplant those parts into a new knight, or a different knight, I should say, or other, war machines, they might get corrupted as well. So, if you defeat a knight on the battlefield, you must melt it down on the spot. You gotta use some melter charges or something just to melt that entire metal carcass into slag of metal. Yeah. Can't use anything.
Fallen noble feels their flesh mold and meld with their suit. Neurons parasitized by tentacular dendrites to better assert their will over the machine, limbs fusing within their throne metal. Eventually they may lose any hint of human form, their body peeling open like a hideous flower.
Ew. Ew. I can just imagine the skin, then the muscle, then the bone. Okay.
Shedding layer after layer as the night suit consumes them utterly. Chaos Knights all tend to take on a savage and horrific mien. The longer the night feels the touch of the Dark Pantheon's domination, the worse it becomes. Internal mechanisms erupt through their outer armor layers, jutting forth as irregular spikes that bleed oil and unguent. Gun muzzles develop teeth. Once powerful fists twist into claws of vicious cruelty.
Nah, that must be Nurgle's influence. I don't think that's Korn's influence. That must be Nurgle. Nurgle's teeth on the gun? For what? No.
In many cases, the predatory nature of the pilot warps the legs of the machine into new digitigrade configurations. Heresy, of course, to the sacred plantigrade formation of both humanity and our loyal knight suits.
Imagine a knight running at you in an animalistic type of way. Oh my gosh, that would be scary. That'll be scary.
Known to the Imperials as abhorrent class knights, these monstrosities are fusions of flesh and metal and ill intent, loping like megafauna across the battlefield in search of slaughter and ruin. A certain uniformity of these design expressions has led the Ordo Hereticus and the Mechanicus to speculate that the Dark Mechanicum has developed STC systems, or iterations of said, to produce abhorrent class knights for the infernal and iconoclast houses.
If that is the case, then you guys are in serious trouble. I mean, how many of those things can they produce?
This is, of course, presuming acknowledgement of their presence. There are several...
What? You mean people don't acknowledge that Chaos Knights exist? Oh gosh. Oh, the Imperium of Man, oh my gosh.
bodies and ideologies within the Imperium that outright deny the existence of Chaos Knights.
This is crazy. How can you deny what's in front of your face and say that it doesn't exist? Oh my gosh. Probably they kill anyone that has witnessed a Chaos Knight, on the battlefield. Any poor Astra Militarum or anyone of a lower rank, someone who's not an Astartes, probably you die. After the battle against Chaos, they kill you on the spot. They kill you on the spot because no one is supposed to know that these things exist. Yeah.
Stating that such a fall is impossible. Many knight houses are counted amongst these deluded, stringently refusing to believe any of their kin would possibly fall under the sway of the primordial annihilator, taking any suggestions of said as the gravest of insults.
Which results in death.
Several internecine doctrinal conflicts have broken out amongst Mechanicus Forge worlds, where such opposing bodies exist. It is, of course, the policy of the Inquisition that such denial is delusion. The forces of the fallen houses are widespread and well documented. Loyalist houses that deny this often find themselves under close inquisitorial scrutiny. Perchance the loyal doth protest too much. The Ordo Hereticus contains many inquisitors who dedicate their life's work to the study and prosecution of Chaos Knight houses, penning many a grimoire upon the subject of their destruction. As, when a house falls to the dark gods, they abandon most all of their millennia-old doctrines of armament and warfare, in favor of each individual pilot's preferred means of murder.
Sorry guys, I'm just looking at this image.
These litanies of damnation, however, must be explored at a later date. For now, one must rest. It is never a good thing to expose oneself to too much chaotic heresy for too long.
Yeah, if I turn to chaos, Noble Knight House Hypertrix, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. I was not supposed to listen to this, but here I am. So if I turn to chaos, I know who to blame. Yeah.
Until then, Ave Imperator. Gloria in excelsis terra. This video and this channel were made possible thanks to the very kind donations and support from my Patreon subscribers. If you'd like to help support the channel, head on over to patreon.com/Oculus Imperia. If you'd like to receive more updates about the channel and any future videos, you can contact me or follow me on Twitter @Oculus Imperia. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, comment, let me know your feedback, and as ever, thank you very much for watching.
Alright guys, that is it. That is it with a history of the Chaos Knight houses, Warhammer 40,000 and Horus Heresy lore made on the Oculus Imperia YouTube channel and requested by Noble Knight House Hypertrex. Yes. It is sad and unfortunate that, so many Knight houses have fallen to chaos during the Horus Heresy. Yes, some of them fell because of their loyalty and fealty to different organizations within the Imperium of Men or within the Mechanicum. And, those that were swearing fealty to the Primarchs, those Primarchs that betrayed the Emperor, thus those knights also followed suit with that Primarch. Or those that were supporting in the Mechanicum schism between the Dark Mechanicum and then also the Mechanicus. Those that supported the Dark Mechanicum, they also delved into chaos. And it is unfortunate that it ended up that way for many of those knights, because they all had this sense of duty, that they would be the ones to protect their knight worlds and protect humanity. But now that loyalty has been warped, has been manipulated, and now they are descending into depravities. Yes, some of them might still think within their reasoning that they're protecting humanity, just like Horus, stating that he's going to save humanity from his father, the Emperor of Mankind. I'm sure the Knight pilots also thought the same way, like Horus, that, the Emperor is a liar, the Emperor has betrayed us, the Imperium of Man is a lie, and we need to save humanity from itself, even if it means in swimming in a river of blood of human beings. We will do it. And that's what many of those Knight pilots committed themselves to. And it is also unfortunate that this valuable piece of technology cannot be salvaged. If a Chaos Knight has been defeated on the battlefield, many of its components cannot be taken out and be, repurposed for another Knight or a Titan or any other form of war machine that would be able to handle the firepower of a Knight. It is unfortunate that they cannot be salvaged, because once this Knight has been corrupted by chaos, all of its components and subcomponents are also going to be corrupted by chaos. And my suggestion of removing the throne mechanic, the throne mechanic, the chair. Oh my gosh. Yes, the throne mechanicum. My suggestion of removing it out from the Knight is also not going to work, because it's intrinsically linked with the Knight, and thus taking it out will also just destroy the entire machine. So you can't take it out, it has to stay in there. The Dark Mechanicum had a good idea of trying to erase the previous pilot consciousness inside the throne mechanicum. That was a good idea, but it doesn't seem like it was really successful most of the time. But it is a good idea, better than my idea of operating and just taking it out completely and replacing it with a new throne mechanicum. I don't even know if they have the technology or the know-how to create a new throne mechanicum, but yeah. So yeah, once this product is tainted, it's tainted for life. It can never come back to the Imperium of Man. It can't be like like the ships that have been taken by chaos or taken by renegade forces that are against the Imperium of Man. I think those can be retaken by the Imperium of Man and be repurposed once more. But when it comes to the Knights, that's a different story altogether. The corruption is too deep, and this Knight machine needs to be melted down, because the corruption would corrupt anything else that is, linked with it, the various components of the knight. So, yeah, it is unfortunate that such valuable piece of technology, created with STCs, will have to be destroyed. There's no way of salvaging them. Yeah. And how the knight pilots also had this sense of protection and duty, and this type of feudalism, civilization on their night house planets or night worlds is also quite interesting. And my question is still there in terms of that first pilot that decided that I am going to become the leader of my people. How did he or she respond to the leader of a particular settlement or a civilization on a night world? How did that night pilot respond to that leader when that leader told him, no, I am responsible for my people, I am the leader of my people, you are a soldier, you are a guardian of our civilization, you are not supposed to be our head of state as well as a fighting warrior of our people. I wonder, how did that pilot respond to that leader? Did the night pilot, destroy that person, or what? Because it conflicts with their stance that they are there to protect humanity. Because you're killing a leader of the community. You are killing a leader of humanity. And doesn't that go against your code, your honor? Killing those that you're supposed to be protecting. Even in the pursuit for your own gain of power, in order to protect them, you still have to kill. So doesn't that go against what they are claiming that they're trying to do by protecting humanity? I'm just wondering about that. But yeah, it is quite interesting to hear about the backstory of the Chaos Knights, and how they descended into depravity, how they were manipulated, controlled, and how they swore allegiance to different organizations that ultimately led to their downfall. Many of the night houses led to their downfall due to their pledging of loyalty to individuals or to different groups, when they should have all made their allegiance to the emperor. They should have all made their allegiance to the emperor. Just do that and you're done. Not separating your allegiances to different organizations. Yeah. But anyways, that's it. That's it for those chaos imbued human beings who become pilots of the knights. That's the end for them. They will die as they've been slowly absorbed by the night. And a new pilot will replace them, and the same process will happen all over again. Yeah. Nasty business. Alright guys, that's it. Thanks again to Noble Night House Hypertrex, also to Oculus Imperia for making this video. It's been really entertaining to hear about the Chaos Knights. And yeah guys, remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as Oculus Imperia's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. If you like my reaction, give it a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay?